Are only children really spoiled, lonely, and selfish? It's a stereotype we've all heard, but what does the science actually say about the psychology of growing up without siblings? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of only children, busting myths, and exploring the unique traits that set them apart. You might be surprised by what we find. For over a century, psychologists have been studying this. One of the earliest pioneers was G. Stanley Hall, who back in 1896 famously described being an only child as a disease in itself. Ouch! He believed that without the rough and tumble of sibling relationships, only children would grow up maladjusted and unable to handle life's challenges. This idea stuck around for a long time and really painted a negative picture. But then, in the 1970s and 80s, a wave of new research started to challenge these old beliefs. A researcher named Tony Falbo conducted extensive studies, analyzing hundreds of previous papers. Her meta-analysis, a huge study of studies, was a game changer. What did she find? Well, it turns out only children aren't the socially awkward loners they were made out to be. Let's break down the key areas. First up, intelligence and achievement. The data here is pretty consistent. On average, only children tend to score higher on IQ tests and have higher levels of educational attainment. Think about it. They often receive more of their parents' time, attention, and resources. This undivided focus can translate into more intellectual stimulation from a young age, more books read to them, more conversations with adults, and more support for their academic pursuits. Parents might have more financial resources to invest in their single child's education, from tutoring to extracurricular activities. This creates a very enriched environment that can foster a love of learning and a drive to succeed. Now, what about personality? This is where the stereotypes get really sticky. The spoiled brat label is the most common. The assumption is that because they don't have to share toys or parental attention, they become selfish and demanding. But the research tells a different story. Falbo's work found that only children are no more selfish or spoiled than children with siblings. In fact, when it comes to certain traits, they might even have an edge. For instance, studies show only children often have higher levels of self-esteem and motivation. Without siblings to compare themselves to, they might develop a stronger sense of self based on their own accomplishments rather than on sibling rivalry. They learn to entertain themselves, which can foster incredible creativity and independence. Instead of relying on a brother or sister for fun, they have to invent their own games and worlds, becoming highly resourceful and imaginative individuals. But let's be real, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. The one area where there can be a slight difference is social skills, particularly in early childhood. Siblings are like a built-in social laboratory. You learn to negotiate, share, resolve conflicts, and stand up for yourself on a daily basis. Without this constant practice, some only children might find navigating peer relationships a bit trickier at first. They might not be as skilled at conflict resolution simply because they've had less exposure to it at home. However, this is usually a temporary phase. Most only children quickly catch up. They learn these skills at daycare, on the playground, and at school. And because they often spend more time around adults, they can sometimes be more mature for their age, able to carry on sophisticated conversations and relate well to people older than them. This can make them seem like little adults, a term you often hear associated with only children. Another key aspect is the parent-child relationship. The bond between only children and their parents is often described as exceptionally close and intense. It's a triangle of two versus the world. This can be a wonderful source of support and security. The child feels deeply loved and understood, but it can also come with pressure. Only children carry all of their parents' hopes, dreams, and expectations on their shoulders. There's no one to share that burden with. This can lead to a fear of disappointing their parents and a tendency towards perfectionism. They might feel an immense pressure to succeed, knowing they are their parents' sole focus. As they grow into adulthood, this dynamic continues to evolve. Only children often remain very close to their parents. They might feel a greater sense of responsibility for their parents' care as they age, simply because there are no siblings to share that responsibility with. This can be a significant emotional and logistical weight to bear later in life. So what's the verdict? The only child syndrome is largely a myth. There is no single personality type that all only children fit into. Like anyone, their personality is a complex mix of genetics, parenting style, and life experiences. Growing up without siblings doesn't doom you to a life of loneliness or selfishness. Instead, it presents a different set of opportunities and challenges. Only children often emerge as highly motivated, creative, and independent individuals with strong bonds with their parents. They may need to put a little extra effort into learning social negotiation skills early on, but they are just as capable of forming deep, meaningful friendships and relationships as anyone else. Ultimately, the number of siblings you have is just one small piece of the giant puzzle that makes you who you are. Whether you're an only child, the oldest, the middle, or the youngest, your journey is unique. The old stereotypes just don't hold up under the microscope of modern psychology. So the next time you hear someone call an only child spoiled, you can share a little bit of what the science really says. Thanks for watching our deep dive into the psychology of only children. What's your experience? Are you an only child, or did you grow up with siblings? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your story. And if you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that busts myths and explores the human mind. See you next time.